Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today is another day in my 100-day project and it's playing with rainbows, which is inspired by the amazing Lisa Oxley. So I'm starting off with some black and white printed text in the background, or printed papers in the background. The dotty paper I adore. It's actually some wrapping paper my daughter chose to wrap her kindy school books in, because she's just gone to kindy, done her first year, or started her first year of schooling, which is very exciting. And the other tissue paper is one of the Tim Holtz tissue papers, which is all text based, which again I'm a huge fan of different fonts and so on, so it's one of my favorites. So I'm just starting off in this junk journal by gluing down these little bits of random collage, not really thinking about where I'm putting them, trying to sort of be even on both pages, and because I tore it out, I'm gonna stick it down. So me trying to be very minimalistic with what I stick down, and then I end up sticking everything down. Once it's all dry, then I'm going to start adding some color to my pages. So I knew I wanted to add sort of some rainbowy colors, and I wanted to make sure that I left some white space, because for those again of you who follow me know I really struggle with that, and I love the balance of white space on a page, but it's just something personally that I find really difficult to do, because I don't like to waste anything. So if I've got extra paint, I'm going to put it on my page somewhere. What I'm going in with is just random colors and spreading them out, mixing them together. Because I'm putting on so little paint, the layers are drying fairly quickly, but it is a good idea to make sure the layer you're painting up against is dry before you sort of paint the next one. So you can sort of see me, if I've gone to the painted at the top of one, I'm going to the bottom of another one. I'm also using a paintbrush. I think at some stage I revert to using my fingers, because I just find it easier to blend colors together with my fingers, and particularly because I'm doing this with my left hand. While I've got fairly good control of the brush these days, I just find it easier to use my fingers, which you can see here. The other thing is, I've obviously got a little bit more control, but particularly with colours like yellow, where you only want a little bit, I can sort of make it a little bit more opaque on the page, because I'm not spreading it out as far. So I'm the colours that look quite bright on the page, I actually haven't spread as far, so they're fairly thick on the page. Not really that thick, because I'm not using that much paint, but you know what I mean. So now I'm going in with some fuchsia, because it's one of my favorite colors. I just love the pop it gives on the page, and you can see less and less white space happening, because it's just me. I just can't do it. I really struggle with it. So using again Lisa's inspiration, one of the things that she does is, once she sort of gets so far in her paintings, she goes back in with white paint or her gesso to control what's on the page somewhat. So you can see by painting in the white paint, if I can find some that actually will come out of the bottle, you can start to put in a little bit of that white space again, and just add some balance to the page. I was really struggling with my white paint. And again, I was finding it much easier to get that true white color by just using my finger to spread the paint around. I'm also repainting over some of the white areas, and the reason for that is just by the nature of sort of putting the paint on the page, some of the white wasn't necessarily as white as it could have been, so it helps blend it all together. Once I've finished, I'm going back in with my little mark making stamp and adding in some extra black on the page. So black and white are really important in any artwork that you do. It's what gives your page the interest, and it helps sort of control the other colors on the page somewhat. Once I've finished doing the stamping, then I haven't finished stamping, I'm still going, because again, you know, why stop with one stamp when you can put 50,000 on? It's just me. If you've got it there, you might as well use it. So you can see I'm now going back in with more white paint to paint out some of the black that I put on, because I've been a bit heavy-handed with it. And that's how it goes, you know. You don't, just because you've put it on there doesn't mean you have to live with it. So you can always change it up or paint over it in the end. But here I go again, putting on more stamping. So I've got these number stamps. I don't know, I've had these for years. They're part of my unmounted stamp set. Don't know where they came from, but they're quite useful. I really like that they're just in a row on the page. So they're great for adding linear lines to your artwork. A lot of my stamps are sort of more horizontalish, so it's nice to have something that's very linear. While I'm looking at it now, I'm sort of going, yeah, I've got a background now, what am I going to do with it? And one of the things I'm struggling, well, I certainly was at this stage, sort of early on with what I was doing with my hand, was I could paint the backgrounds, but I wasn't sure how to do the foregrounds, because particularly in that first cast I had, I could not move my fingers. I didn't have very much I had no movement in my right hand whatsoever, so I couldn't use scissors. You can see it's above the elbow, so there's really no bending there whatsoever. So chipboard shapes and sort of die cuts, anything that was pre-cut out was really, really handy to me. So this is one of the chipboard shapes from Dina Wakley, from her range, and it's a lovely sort of abstracty face, which I thought sort of sat on the page really, really well. So once I've painted it black, just so I could have that beautiful contrast on the page, I've got those gorgeous colours in the background. I've got this really strong black face now peering out. I'm just using some glue to glue it down on the page, and it's that quick and simple, really. It doesn't take all that much. So once I've done that, it was adding some words to the page, because I always like to have some sort of quote on the page in some way, shape or form. Usually I would stamp it out onto some tissue paper first, but I figured that I would just stamp it straight onto the page, because there wasn't really that much in the background or a lumpy bumpy underneath to stop it stamping correctly. So it went on pretty well. But just to help pop it out from the background a little bit more, I'm just going in with my white paint pen to add some highlights to the letters and to make them pop out a little bit. Now this I found a little bit tricky to do, because again I'm doing left-handed and hadn't really practiced writing all that much. So in the close-up you'll find the lines are very wobbly, but it's okay, it is what it is. The final thing I did was add a little catch-all in the shape's eye, just to sort of make it look a little bit more realistic. So here is a close-up of the finished piece. The great thing is, even though I put so much paint and so much stamping over the top, you can still see those original layers of the collage that I put underneath peeping through. And that's what's great about using acrylic paints, because you can build up those layers. On the second page, which I didn't film for you, it was exactly the same thing. I just had this die cut from Scrap FX that I decided to stick down on the page as well, with the word Rebel above it. And again, it sort of had a really cool contrast with the colourful background. So I hope you have a go at painting a rainbow on your page. I hope you have more success than me keeping white space. It is okay, you don't have to use everything, you can put it onto another page. At some stage I might take my own advice. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.